Why are people like this? Why? Why? I have to ask you all, why are you like this, people? We can all coexist together and be happy and do everything with a big smile in our faces without having to fight each other. But hey, who am I to tell you how to react and act like a total asshole? And the reason why I'm telling you this story, guys, is first of all, let's talk about cars here. That's rule number one. We're going to talk about cars. The first thing I want to talk to you guys about is my story, my personal story, because people I feel like are a little too much on the edge. They're listening a lot to CNN and to Fox News, and they're telling them that their fucking president can do whatever he's doing, and they're so mad. They're like, oh, we should remove that guy. Oh, we should keep him. And they're all fighting instead of paying attention to the real problem in society, and that's us. That's us. Why are you so mad all the time? I took my LT for a drive. I went this weekend and I said, you know what? Today's a nice day to look at titties. No, I'm just kidding. By the way, that's a really nice day every single day to do that. But on the weekend, I was like, you know what? I'm going to take my car out. I don't want to be the old guy. I just told you guys that I feel like I'm an old person. And that's not right. I don't want to feel like that anymore. So, of course, in my middle age crisis mode, I went, grabbed my LT, dropped the top, and I decided to go to the beach. I went towards PCH. I went out there and I was enjoying the music, enjoying everything. And of course, I was enjoying the car. I was enjoying a little bit of the speed, because you don't buy these cars just to cruise around. You want them because they feel amazing when you accelerate in them. That's at least why I like my LT. I don't know about you. So I was heading towards the beach. And at some point, I'm guessing, by the way, of course, I'm speeding a little bit. Of course, I'm not going crazy, but I got every single basically green light and I was at the front of every single one. And what I was doing was I was accelerating in those green lights because there's nobody in front of me. And people next to me, I'm not like punching the gas and the car is getting squirrely. Like none of that shit's happening. I'm keeping it under control. I'm cool. I'm Joey Cool, if you will. Not, probably not. And I'm taking my car out. Everything is cool. I'm doing like these runs and I slow down, run, slow down. And I get to the end of PCH and I'm going into Crystal Cove. On Crystal Cove, this is a shopping center, by the way, for those of you who don't live around me. It's a beautiful shopping center. If I've seen a lot of shopping centers, this is one of the best shopping centers I've ever been. Beautiful, just beautiful. And so you need to make a left, right? And you're waiting at a light. So I noticed that right behind me, there was a guy that was obsessed with getting behind me. It's a Macan, not a Cayenne. I thought he was a Cayenne, but he was a Macan. And so he gets behind me in his little Macan. And he's like really riding my ass. But I'm thinking, you know what? Whatever. Maybe that's just how the old man drives, right? Like he's old, of course. So I'm just going to give him the benefit of the doubt. So I'm going on a straight line to make a left turn, get a green light. We're all going. And this guy's trying to pass me on the outside, but there's no lane. Like I have to go straight, right? Or the guy's just going to crash against the sidewalk. So he stops behind me and I said, you know what? Maybe it's his first time here and he doesn't know what he's doing and he wants to get there quick. Maybe. So we get in and then you got to make a right into the shopping center. And there's a place called Javier's. If your wife ever tells you that she's going to Javier's, just know that she's probably going to get some BBC. Specifically, if she's going on Thursday and Friday after 6 p.m., most likely your wife is getting a BBC fresh off the bar. And for those of you who don't know what that is, you should look into it. This is a dangerous thing in your relationship. But either way, I'm passing by. I'm getting to Javier's. It's like the first stoplight. And the guy's like riding me. So I need to make a stop at the stop sign. And the guy's like throwing his car at me. So I like stepped on the brakes, let's just say a little hard. And the guy goes instantly. And he's sitting with his old wife who looks like a total Karen or like a Betty, because it's more like a Karen that's already lost her mind a little bit to dementia. And that's kind of like what it looked like. So it's a little Betty. So Betty was in the car with this guy and he's like flipping me off, whatever. I'm like, I'm not thinking much about it, right? I'm like, this guy's just mad because I broke and he's just riding my ass, whatever. So I keep going straight and he's still like trying to get around me, but there's nowhere to go. There's literally nowhere to go. I'm just following traffic, sir. And eventually I get to the point where I'm making my U-turn and exiting the shopping center. And as I'm about to make my right, the guy comes in and tries to cut me off straight up, like throws his car at me, like big time. And at this point, I know he wants some. You want some smoke, homie? You want some of that with a Mexican dude that's like half your age and can still move and doesn't look like Santa Claus? Let's do it. Let's put Betty through the challenge. So Betty gets next to me. Her like their car is right here. I'm right here. I'm looking up to them, right? Not up to them, but I have to look up at them. Um, and the reason why is because my car is so low and they're up there. So Betty lowers her window and starts telling me that I'm crazy. And I go, I am so sorry. What are you talking about? And she goes, you're driving like a fucking asshole and you're driving like all this. And the husband just gets in and he's just like red. Like imagine Santa Claus really mad at you and he's not bringing you anything for Christmas. You didn't leave him any cookies. Motherfucker's hungry. He's diabetes. He's diabetes. He's kicking in. You got to get him a cookie. He's that angry, this guy. And he's yelling at me. He's like, who you think you are? You're a race car driver driving like that on the street, blah, blah, blah. And again, I didn't cut him off. I didn't drive like behind his ass. I didn't do anything to him directly. I was just in my own thing, doing my own thing by myself. But he was very mad that I was doing that. Very, very angry. California, we have a little thing where we just don't like others having a good time. We have to shit on it. Absolutely, any way that we can and any possibility that we can, we're going to shit on them. So Santa and Betty are in the car yelling at me. And I go, whoa, 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 whoa. Hang on a second. I didn't know you guys were cops. Oh, that got him so fired up. And the guy just started yelling at me like, this isn't going to be like this. And I go, so what are you going to do? Are you going to get out and fight me like a man, or are you going to be a pussy? And they both looked at me like I'm crazy, and they roll up their window and leave. Why? Santa, I used to like you a lot when I was a little kid. I used to like leave you milk and cookies for your fat ass. Why are you so angry at me? Why are we so mad at each other? I'm just having a good time. Why are you so mad about me having a good time in my fucking car that looks like a kid's car? Why? Either way, this is the ridiculous that I wanted to start with. Any of you guys have like these problems where road rage is a thing? Because I got to tell you guys, coming from Texas really opened my eyes to how much better the world is when everyone's got a gun and you're terrified that they can shoot you at any point. Because I remember when I first moved to Texas and we went to a barbecue spot and everyone was coming into the barbecue spot wearing like fucking AK-47s and crazy ass rifles. And I'm not good with guns, so please, if you're like AK-47 is impossible, I don't fucking care. It looked like machine guns, rifles, and everything. And everybody's going to this place just to eat strapped. They're ready for anything. They're ready for it. They know that the aliens can show up at any time. They've seen Independence Day. So everybody's ready to eat their barbecue and defend the country at the same time. So at that point, you realize, fuck, man, there's no fucking around in here. If you go and do anything wrong, they're going to shoot your ass. Even crazy homeless people in LA are like, rah! They yell at you. They try to push you. They try to start a fight. Homeless people in Austin are just like shitting themselves walking by. They don't even bother you because you might have a gun and shoot their ass. And even the homeless know that. So when you're in a car in Texas, there's none of that play whatsoever. Someone comes in, they cut you off, and you're like, thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Because they're probably going to shoot your ass if you don't do that. Like, that's how Texas rolls. And I was there for 3 years. So I became a very chill driver, no rush. I'm not telling anyone to go motherfuck themselves. I'm keeping it chill, as every human being should, right? But as soon as I moved to LA, I remember I was in Irvine. We lived in Irvine before Newport Coast. So I was in Irvine and I was in my Tesla. And there's this huge lane. There's a way. So there's a street where you can make a right on both lanes, the one on the left and the one on the right. And there's another lane on the left. And everybody's like an idiot on a single file line on the right side to make a right. And I was like, well, no one's taking the other lane. I'm going to take that. Because you know what? It's open. And I'm not stupid. And I'm paying attention. And I'm not on my phone. Wow, I'm old. I'm old. When you complain, see, Oldo Mondrin. I fucking knew it. When you complain about these things, it starts dating you. Instantly, I walk into places and people are like, sir. I'm like, fuck. That's how old I am at this point. So I'm making a right turn. I see everyone in a single file line just waiting to make the right turn. I get to the front. We have a red light, but it doesn't say you can go right on red. So you can go right on red. So I get to the line, I stop, there's a Jetta next to me, I look left, I look right, there's no one coming, and I go. And there was a lady in a Jetta who I also want to call Karen, because you can only imagine. And Karen is on the right side. So I passed her on the left and I went on the left lane, and Karen got fucking furious. Furious. You've never seen Karen that angry. She gets in her fucking car and accelerates and gets to me at the light and starts yelling at me with her phone on, filming me, telling me how terrible of a person I was. And I was like, what the fuck happened to California while I was gone? But then I remembered nothing. You were just in Texas, and now you're seeing what you saw before that you thought it was normal, and now it's not to you. I was like, damn, dude, these people are crazy. A couple days later, I was sitting in this is, by the way, that happened in my Tesla. So I wasn't even like in a crazy car. So a few days later, I was with my wife. We were going to sushi. And the same thing, we were at a stoplight, and this guy behind me, there was a car in front of us. So we passed them. I literally went 2 lanes all the way to the right, passed, and I went in front of him. And by the time I got to the light, he got behind me. So when he gets to the light, and I'm saying when he gets to the light, it took him a while. That's how far away we were from each other. All I did was just pass through the right and then go in front of him. Well, that didn't stop this guy from getting really offended. Oh, how dare that guy pass me in California? Does he not know the rules that the retard goes first and then everybody else? I didn't know the rules, sir. So he got really mad at me and he started flipping me off in the mirror. So I lowered my windows, and I'm terrible, guys. I'm terrible. I know what annoys everyone. I know it. So I looked at the guy in the rearview mirror, and he's looking at me going like, fuck you, straight up. And I just start dying laughing. Oh, you should have seen how red that white man got. He was like fucking like a strawberry about to explode. Like the green part was about to explode and blow out of his fucking head. That to me was like, what is going on in here? We need more guns in LA. We need everyone to be terrified of each other. It's like you're in a place where there's no consequences. Go to the store and steal anything you want. You can commit any crime whatsoever on the street. Yeah, but it needs to be capped. It needs to be capped. That's all I'm saying. It needs to be capped. We need chill. We need to have a good time all together. The roads are for all of us to enjoy and to also complain about because we pay taxes and they're terrible. So that's all for us. Let's enjoy it together. Let's not get mad at each other. That's just ridiculous. And you know who's about to get really mad? People in Australia, and I guarantee you this is coming later to the United States. I want to share this piece of news with you guys because in Australia, they're introducing a new driver's license for performance cars. That's right. That's right. Australia is creating laws for performance car drivers, saying, hey, you want to drive a really nice car? You're going to need a really different license. And that makes sense because Australia has no problems whatsoever. It's not like they have crazy fires. It's not like they have all these animals attacking everyone, like the most lethal ones in the world. It's not like they have spiders the size of me in everyone's home that they need to do something about. It's not like they have kangaroos that just grab dogs and start choking them. No. That's not important. No, what's important is we find the 270 drivers that drive these cars in Australia, because I don't know if you know this, but cars in Australia are extremely expensive. The import taxes are insane, right? So there's not a lot of idiots in Australia, a lot of great people in Australia that drive these supercars. So either way, we're getting a little bit further into the news, and it says, in a significant move aimed to enhance road safety and regulating high-performance vehicles. By the way, this is so stupid. I'll tell you why in a second. Australia has introduced a new legislation that mandates special U-class driver's license for drivers operating high-powered vehicles. These machines, often referred to as sports cars or supercars, are now subject to stricter regulations to mitigate risk associated with potentially dangerous power and performance. Now, I understand that. I'm one of the first people that said cars are getting too fast and they're getting to the point where people might need to like be aware of the crazy car that they're driving. And I have a great example for you guys. My wife took me to the Tesla service center today, right? She went with me. We took both cars. We dropped off the Cybertruck. We went on and picked it up at 15 minutes later, basically. It took me longer to get home than them to be done with the car. So while I was doing that, and I was in my Cybertruck just relaxing, my wife was in my Plaid, and I saw the nightmare of every husband, just his wife going full blown full force on a freeway, going at speeds that I wouldn't even dare myself to go at, and then just weaving through everything. Why? And then I asked myself, why is she driving like that? And then I said, well, because she's got a 1,000 horsepower car that accelerates from 0 to 61.9 seconds. That seems dangerous to me, right? Yeah, let's not worry about those cars that can accelerate faster than the speed of light. No, no, no. Let's worry about the supercars. That's the important thing here. So, South Australian government at the forefront of this initiative, by the way, they should fucking shove a dildo up their ass, has revealed that approximately 270 drivers in the state will require to secure their new U-Class driver's license by December 1st, 2024. To qualify for these license classification, individuals must complete an upcoming online training course specifically tailored to high-power vehicles. Now, call me a cynic, call me a bastard, call me a non-believer, but man, having someone at the DMV teaching people with Ferraris how to drive, it's somewhat of a hard pitch for me to really imagine, right? Like, who are they hiring to show these people that have all the money in the world how to drive their cars? I really want to know. And also, are you getting like a special type of service when you go to the DMV in Australia and you apply for a U-Class? Because clearly you have money. You're one of the 270 total, 270 total idiots that can afford these cars in that course. There should be like Nico Rosberg coming out of retirement, just waiting for you there with a coffee and a glass of champagne, going like, sir, welcome to the class that you need to drive your supercar in. I'm Nico Rosberg. I used to drive in Formula One, former Formula One champion. I don't know if you heard about me. I'm a YouTuber that beat Lewis Hamilton on equal machinery back in the day. Sir Lewis Hamilton, I may add. So is that the type of course that they're giving people? Or are they hiring just a fat person, kind of like here in the United States, that's missing one eye, lost already a few toes to diabetes, and soon are going to have a heart attack? Is that more like the vibe that they're going for? I feel like they should go more with the exclusive, but that's just me. You guys vote for whoever you want and do whatever you want. I'm not an Australian, believe it or not. I know it's hard to believe by my looks and the way I talk, but yeah. The course, slated for release early next year, will cover risk awareness, the utilization of advanced driver assistance system, ADAS. Wow, so they're going to teach you how to use your car, because at the dealership, you would think that when you buy one of these cars, the person at the dealership is like, by the way, let me show you how to use the car. Or that the person who bought it went on YouTube, looked at a Shmee video and was like, oh, got it. No. Apparently not. So the course early next year will cover awareness, blah, 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 and the safety of operation, blah, blah, blah. All cars with a power-to-weight ratio equal or exceeding 266 kilowatts per ton, 370 horsepower per 1,000 kilograms are included in the new law. However, the legislation doesn't stop at a license upgrade. And I want to talk to you guys about this, because if y'all think this is where it's going to stop, just wait. The South Australian government has also integrated measures to prevent the disabling of automated assist systems in performance vehicles. This move aims to ensure that crucial safety features such as anti-locking brake, automated energy braking, electronic stability control, and traction control remain operational at all times. That means, for anyone that's listening to this and doesn't really speak English or can't understand my terrible accent, it means fuck your fun in your BMW without blinkers and without your traction control on and your stability control because you want to do donuts. They're saying you cannot. According to our law, you're a fucking idiot, and we got to take care of you and how you enjoy that supercar that you probably bought to be able to use it without those systems. But we are in Australia. We really care about your well-being. So that's what we're doing. We're making sure that you don't have a lot of fun. It's Australia. You want to have fun? Fucking dive into the water. There's great white sharks. Dive into a lake. There's probably a fucking alligator or a crocodile. I don't know which one lives there, but there's probably one of those. You want to go for a fun adventure? Just fucking dig a hole and pick out the biggest snake that can possibly bite you. That's a rush of adrenaline. That's basically what Australia is saying. Like, dude, you want adrenaline? Go fight a fucking herd of kangaroos right now. Your car is for you to be safe and not have fun. So, additionally, drivers who engage the sport mode of their supercars, BMW drivers, please cover your ears right now. I know this is going to affect you specifically right now. Uh, Drivers who engage the sport mode of their supercar within built-up areas, resulting in fatalities or serious harm, will now face charges for aggravated offense. So now you're driving your car, you're having a great time, you made it in life, you're 30 years old, you sold your first company, you bought yourself a really nice car that you can't really enjoy. But dude, if you put it in sport and God forbids there's a fucking accident, you, sir, are automatically labeled a murderer. So that's pretty incredible if you ask me. It is also a defense. It is also a defense if it was impracticable to drive with the automated intervention system enabled, as there are some circumstances where such systems should legitimately be turned off, like when a vehicle is bogged, or being driven on a loose surface. According to transport safety and experts in the country, activating sport modes in supercars within urban environments can lead to enhanced responsiveness and power, factors that might contribute to unfortunate accidents. If I was Australian right now, I probably wouldn't care, because there's only 270 morons that I hate because they're rich that can afford these cars in Australia. So at the end of the day, I guess Australian people don't lose that much on. They're not having fun anyways. If they want to have fun, they're going to go outside and just fight bears and other sorts of animals. I'm sure women are wild in Australia too, so you have to take care of that. And what else? I mean, it's pretty nuts. Pretty nuts, whatever's going on in Australia, huh? Good for my guys in Australia. Just fucking crazy. Another thing that I saw that blew my mind was this. Let me just share it with you guys. 1 second. Share this tab instead. So Koenigsegg, the Dogmata creator, Christian von Koenigsegg, built the ultimate manual supercar. And they're not fucking around. So this thing, the Chimera, CHI, whatever it is, has literally an automatic transmission, a paddle transmission, and a manual transmission. This is incredible. So can I say something? By the way, this is the homage to the old Koenigsegg that everybody loves, right? That's the one, the Koenigsegg CC850. Because if you bought one of the older ones and it didn't work, we can give you a new one that doesn't work either, but looks better. So Koenigsegg is on it. But legitimately, this blew my mind. This is a Gear video. This is Christian von Koenigsegg, always doing cool shit. You got to give it to Christian von Koenigsegg. He's a cool cat. He's one hell of a cool cat. So, are they going to show this or not? Christian von Koenigsegg. They kind of show it here. So you have like the paddles, you have like the manual. He's got a manual knob, by the way. So this dude is like switching. I'm sorry, I'm not up with the Top Gear hosts. They change them like that. I change diapers because I'm old. So yeah, he's driving it in a manual. You can drive it with the paddles. You can drive it, and the car looks really cool. No doubt. Christian making the coolest shit in the world. But here's the thing. Wouldn't we all appreciate a little Christian von Koenigsegg transmission going into our fucking regular cars? Wouldn't it be awesome if Christian von Koenigsegg developed that thing and sold it to Porsche? And you could drive a 911 GT3 RS with the paddles, without the paddles, or with a manual. Why is Christian von Koenigsegg keeping everything to himself? He just wants to have all the fun by himself. He's nothing like Australia. He's kind of like Australia. He's trying to grab the fun from everybody else around him and saying, fuck you all. This is Dogmata, and we're putting it in this car. That's my terrible impression of Christian von Koenigsegg. But that's pretty much it. I don't fully understand, why can he just make a fortune licensing that shit to everyone? Does anyone has an answer for me? Because I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here. If I was the owner of Koenigsegg and I had something like that cool, I'd probably be trying to sell it to everyone, along with free valve technology and all that shit. I just don't understand. I know a lot of people are going to say, well, he's going to lose the edge. Well, let me tell you something. He's selling like 50 cars a year. He can make that number be millions with all of the shit that he invents if he starts putting it in other cars. I just don't understand why he doesn't want to. I don't understand. I just don't understand. Either way, that's anything and everything I wanted to talk to you guys about. I'm going to read some of the comments here to make sure how terrible I am. And yeah, just over here. Filming and yelling, use 100% California. It is. It is. It absolutely is. Alejandro, I suspect people in California are stressed more than they are in Texas because the cost of living is considerably high. That could also be the case. No doubt. Absolutely no doubt. This channel has just turned Ali into complaining about his driving because his wife is tired of hearing it. Absolutely. That's, by the way, who am I going to complain to about my wife too? You guys got to think about this. You can't go and tell your friends because then the relationship is weird. When they see her next, they're going to be like, well, I don't know if I like you. You treat my friend like this. So you don't want to do that. You rather just tell thousands of strangers about these problems that you have at home. That is the healthy way of dealing with anything. Follow me for more relationship advice. Are you enjoying anything about being in California other than the weather? The weather is great. I'm not gonna lie. The weather is a big driver. The beach is also a big driver. But other than that, we also live in a really nice, clean area. But I feel like really stupid for saying that because everything in LA used to be nice and clean, and now it's like a fucking dump, except where we live in some areas around here. But what else do I enjoy about California? That's pretty much it. that really, 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 really is it. Australia is the California of the driving world. Golden, that SP3 looks sexy. I know. I remember years ago, guys, I told you that Ferrari should stick to making beautiful, retro-like modern cars and they would kill it. I'm glad they're making great cars now, by the way. I think the 296 GTB, what a car. What, like legitimately something out of people's dreams. The way that he drives, the way that it sounds, even for being a small engine Ferrari, God, it's one. I want to say outside of the crazy Ferraris, like the nuts, like the ones that people spend trillions of dollars in, that is my favorite Ferrari I've ever driven. It's crazy. Let me guess, double standards with EVs that are faster. So no, this is something that I'm telling you guys. I know it sounds like conspiracy theories from an old man, right? But I'm telling you this. One, electric cars will become the peasant's car. Two, you're going to have a permit. You're going to need a permit. And now you're getting the first step of that, which is getting your license as a supercar owner, registered supercar owner, because those cars will be the only ones that like super expensive cars are only going to be able to be used at some point by you paying a certain amount of money to be able to drive them. I have everything in I've been saying this since 2017. I'm not backing down, and especially now it's looking more and more that that's going to be the case. It's just regulation. I know that right now the story that everybody's selling is that EVs are not selling. EVs, no one wants EVs. Porsche is cutting down on their EVs because of the Taycan. Porsche is cutting down on the Taycan models because the Taycan was a terribly produced car. And I don't mean like as far as quality goes, it's just a car that gets less than 200-mile range is fucking idiotic. Idiotic, especially on a fast car. You want to drive that thing in whole ass, but you can't because then you're not going to be able to go to your daughter's fucking play at the same time, go to the gym afterwards, and then go see your lover at Joey's or at Javier's. It depends. So what's the point? I just feel like those electrics, the narrative on the electric is just being retarded right now. Lower prices are coming for EVs because battery costs are also coming down because the bubble is bursted. Has popped. The bubble popped. That's all I know. That's what's going on. I'm okay with it if it allows us to go over 150 miles an hour. It makes sense because supercars aren't built like normal cars and are more capable. If we pay extra to go faster, that's cool with me. I would agree with you 100%. Visual delusion. I would 100% agree with you. But here's the thing. They're saying that if you put it in sport mode, now you're going to kill everyone and you're a murderer. I do not think that they're going to be open to the idea of people that are so rich and can laugh at the law and make a show in front of everybody else while they drive slow in their fucking shit cars that, can only dream about affording one of these cars. And then the rich guy with the older rich guy with a younger girl with a fake tits is like driving down the freeway at 150 miles an hour while you're going to your Australian job where you have to fight an alligator at a zoo. That's what people in Australia do, right? I've never been to Australia, but I'm guessing that's the case. Uh, it's not going to be like a professional racing school. It's probably just going to be about sense of speed and throttle and braking control. I just want to know, dude, who's going to be giving me that class? Is he going to be Nico Rosberg or is he going to be a fat DMV lady? I want to know. Soon, your performance car will limit you unless GPS detects you are a racetrack. I also think that that's going to be the case because all of these cars, self-driving, is going to come in and affect us all like faster than we all think. I legitimately think so. Australia is round like a prison. If you know the history of Australia, it makes sense. Well, yeah, I don't want to get into that because Alex, Supercar Blondie, is from Australia. And I have a few friends from Australia, like Alex, Supercar Blondie, and Nick, her husband. Is that it? I feel like I know more Australians. No, Daniel Ricciardo's not my friend. That could be all the Australians I know, mate. Oh, and Hugh Jackman. But Hugh Jackman and I are not friends. They're protecting the remaining Kiwis. Bro, you need to get that new Lambo. Dude, I need to go see Danny whenever he's back from his celebrations and see the Revuelto. I'm dying to see how that is. I heard that it's pretty good. So I'm excited. Koenigsegg will sell it to Ford just like they did with the carbon fiber wheels. But Koenigsegg sold them to Ford. I feel like everyone, dude, if you go to Galpin, there's like 5 kids that are just around that each one of them has a carbon fiber business out of Mexico, TJ to be precise. And they're like, dude, you want some carbon fiber wheels for your car? I can do it. hey, you want a full carbon fiber body for your car? I can fucking do it. So I don't know how hard it is to make carbon fiber wheels these days anymore. Al is still trying to get his wife to leave Newport. No, I already tried. We can't. Had a big talk with her yesterday, and she just smiled and was like, we'll see. So no, absolutely, I'm going to die here. I know you said Koenigsegg needs to evolve and refine their technologies rather than keep making new ones, but isn't it cool that each car ends up being a whole new experience? Brown Santa, I agree with you. And by the way, if I'm one of those rich people that's buying one of these Koenigseggs just because I want something to tell people that it works that way, cool. But the reality, what kills me is, as a fan of cars, as a fan of technology, as a fan of business, I just feel like you need to share with the world, and you can make so much more money. And if your shit's really that good, everyone would have it. The other thing that you're mentioning about the cars, like one and the other, is just like the problem with the Koenigsegg is they have a lot of mechanical problems, period. I know when I used to say it back in the day, people were like, there's no way. He's just jealous. I don't know of what, but he's just jealous. And now everybody knows. Like now it's a given. But at the same time, people don't want to accept the reality of it. Why do they have these mechanical issues? And it's not like for like Pagani's. Pagani's work. Maybe your AC is not going to work. Maybe your screen's not going to display at what speed you're going. Maybe your fucking key can't open the car, but the fucking car kind of works fine. It's a very simple setup. One day, I broke my transmission in my Wyra when I went to Houston to a car show. And I literally I messaged Horatio on WhatsApp. Horatio replied to me with a video on how to fix it. And I was able to fix my own Pagani Wyra by myself with nothing but a screwdriver. So I'm sorry. There's something in this complexity that he's building and creating on each iteration of the car that is just not working because it's not completely flushed out. And all I'm saying is, I want to see more of it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not complaining. I just want to see it everywhere, dude. Like, and also consistency. I want your shit to be spectacular. I do. Like, people always like labeled me as a Ferrari hater. But how shit were Ferraris when I was hating on them? They were garbage. The 488 is the worst car ever made by Ferrari. Ever. In my view, that was like the bottom of the Ferrari bottom. Then they've stepped it up ever since. I'm not saying that my critics helped, but I was fucking right about it. You don't need to be a genius to understand that the car didn't sound great. It wasn't fast enough. It didn't change enough. And the 720S was fucking crazy. And the Lambo, the Huracan Performante was crazy. And it was just meh. So with Koenigsegg, I want to see the same thing. I want to see these guys really get out of their comfort zone and start trickling that technology to make money, to make a bigger name for themselves, to make bigger cars more expensive that those same 10 people are going to buy. Cool. But I want to see it. And I want to see those cars that those people buy enjoy. I really do. I really do. Instead of every Koenigsegg owner having a little manual book as to like, what can we show and what can we show so their investment can keep going up in price. That's crazy. Can you explain why you think nuclear will blow up? I'm in Idaho, and it's been around forever and not accepted. It was not accepted because it was too efficient, right? So, in order for these people to be able to spend, and you can look this up, the Green Deal that they packed it in the 70s or 80s was for $50 trillion to be spent in these new technologies. And if you know anything about politics, and if you know anything about how the world works, you know that central banks, all they want to do is create more money and then give it to their friends, and they get to keep a lot of that. But by doing that, they're devaluating your money, right? Like if Pagani decides to make, instead of 100 Paganis, 1 million Paganis, they're going to be worth $10,000 each instead of $3 million each, because there's way more of them. The same thing happens with money. So nuclear energy has always been more efficient and more safe than anything else. But we decided to go for the delicious money play. And now, if you don't believe that your government's evil, right? You don't believe it. Have you looked at our food in the United States? Have you looked at our water in the United States? Have you looked at our medical system in the United States? Did you see what happened during the pandemic in the United States? Pretty much everywhere in the world too, but in the United States. Do you think inflation is an accident? That there's 150 of the top economists in the world working at the Fed, and they couldn't figure out that inflation was going to happen if we printed literally almost double the amount of money that existed in the world. These people are fucked. Like, they're fucked up. So they are willing to go, all right, fuck this. Let's print $50 trillion out of nowhere, and let's give it to our buddies to create this whole industry of nothingness. And now we have to go nuclear because we haven't gotten with renewables anywhere close to be able to satisfy just artificial intelligence alone. So we need to produce more energy quick. That's why we're going nuclear. And also the fact that now they're starting to say, let's go nuclear, that should show you that it's not like they just discovered something new. They knew. They just needed to print a casual $50 trillion. And when I say, I know I exaggerate a lot, it's part of my Mexicanness. It goes with me everywhere I go. But when I say $50 trillion, I literally mean $50 trillion. Over these decades, that's how much money they've been able to print and give to their cause. Joey or Javier's, they're both the same, dude. They're both the same, and we're not going to Joey's. Joey's has my favorite enchiladas. Let me tell you what, everyone's wife's favorite sausage is hanging at Joey's by the bar, 6 p.m., Thursday and Friday, ready for her. No, I did not stop doing the podcast with Parker. Parker is traveling. We're just doing it whenever we can. Parker's schedule is crazy. Mine's not that crazy, but I also live really far away. So uh, just whenever we get a chance, we'll do. The 296 track version is my favorite. I think Ferrari just keeps holding on to the good shit for track only, and road version is just, I think the 296 is just delicious as is. I think so. I think it's such a well-performing car. The money's crazy, by the way, for the cheapest entry Ferrari. Now it's crazy, but it's such a good car. It's such a good car. Do you think investing in Rimac still worth doing? You can't invest in Rimac, right? Or how could you invest in Rimac? I would think so, because they're just getting started with their stuff. But I don't think you can invest directly in Rimac. I'm not entirely sure. I can't drive in the simulator. Nico Rosberg was telling me too, when I went to Monaco for the Formula E Grand Prix, I saw Nico, and we filmed together, and we were shooting the shed all weekend together. And Nico was like, "Bro, do you wanna drive one of the cars? Do you want to drive one of these cars, like the Formula E cars?" And I go, "No, dude, I'm gonna fucking crash that." He goes, "No, I've seen you drive. You can drive." I was like, "You haven't seen enough, sir. You have not seen enough. I cannot drive at that rate. So no, I'm not gonna do it, because then he's gonna be like, idiot YouTuber, right?" Because always like you're only a social media personality when you die, right? Because the news is slow, and then they gotta tell people like someone's gotta click on this shit. So social media superstar Salamandrin died eaten by a crocodile in Australia after fighting a kangaroo when he was trying to get his U license to drive his supercar in Australia. Now that's a headline. But if Salamandrin crashed a Formula E car, is this idiot who's probably a drug lord, look at his name, Alejandro, just crashed the car up here. Like, they wouldn't use that. They wouldn't use that. Or they would go with a traditional insult like this. I guess followers don't like, I guess having a lot of followers doesn't mean you have a lot of skill to drive a supercar or something like that. I think that's what would happen. So that's what I'm guessing. We need a vlog at Javier's or Joey's where you narrate like, no, dude. Because imagine, I'm gonna get fucking kicked out of there being beaten like by those people. Oh, I love the video where you and Supercar Blondie ate tacos at the gas station. Very candid, relaxed, and fun. I told her it would. I told her, Nick, it was going to be fun. It was the first time we were meeting. I told him it was going to be fun. I thought he was great, and we had a great time too. That was so long ago. What's the deal with Sparky and that Lamborghini KS guy? All right. So Sparky once, while we were in New Jersey, because he's mad at me, very mad at me. Um, uh, try to get a dude from the Porsche Super account on Instagram to fight me, like in front of everyone. And he sent another kid that started crying before he could do anything. A black kid who was awesome. He was like, "I'm so sorry." And then he just started crying. I thought he was going to murder me. So I left running. I've never seen anything like that. And this other kid came up. The reason why they're so hostile is because they can't imagine why someone that doesn't have hundreds of millions of dollars and he's just a moron and having so much fun can have so many followers. And why can't they? Why can't they? I mean, daddy gave me $300 million. Why can I get more followers than that fucking Mexican asshole? I live in a mansion. I have 89 Bugattis. Why is that Mexican fucking dirtbag getting more attention than me? There's something wrong. And then he has an opinion on the cars that I drive. What is this? That's it. That's really it. And I deal with the same thing in Spanish. There's one guy that has a hard on for me that I've never met in my life. And he's mad because I didn't want to meet him. I don't fucking care about meeting anyone. I'm not looking for clout. I'm not looking for a collab. I'm not doing any of this shit. And people, when you ignore them and they're not used to it because their money normally opens the door, I am someone you can't buy. You can't, because I'm an idiot, by the way. I wish you could, because my life would be way easier, but I am not. And it bothers all these people that they just can't control the one thing that they want. which I don't know why. It's such a fucking waste of time. So thoughts on the Artura? I finally see them on the road, but I feels like a flop. It's a flop. I haven't driven the car. I heard he was okay. I heard he was boring. Uh, it was just too meh. It kind of feels like instead of replacing the 570 with the Artura, they replaced the McLaren GT with it. And the McLaren GT is the car. You don't want anything to do with that shit. Know what I'm saying? Macmillion, what's going on, dude? Welcome all the way to Switzerland. What's up, fam? Koenigsegg reunited Salo after the Yas Marina thing. He's been a devoted hater ever since, making one ridiculous claim after the other. Like, dude, Koenigsegg couldn't homologate their cars for a very long time in the United States. Just look how long it took them. You have to be mentally challenged to look at literally data with dates and tell me this. Like, again, I absolutely call me a hater of Koenigsegg. I don't fucking care too. But it's retarded what you're saying. I hope you understand that, because I know being retarded is not that simple. EV hypercar are going to be terrible because they're all going to use the Rimac battery. And what's wrong with that? I want to know. I want to know. Opinions on Bitcoin. All crypto bros on Twitter saying it's time to buy so you can buy that Lambo for Christmas. I still have my short open. I haven't looked at the price. Let me look. Let me look at the price of this Bitcoin. Still, I'm 200 and some percent up on my short. Not going to close. I think there's going to be more downside. That's just me and also some really smart people that I listen to. There are a lot of people using skin lightening medications and hair texture medications to make their hair straight. Well, that's fucked. Why are we talking about that in this channel? What's going on up in here? What's going on up in here? What's happening? All right, that's pretty much it. That's all the questions I have right here. Oh, did you watch the British GP, Sad? What a race. By the way, I'm all bloated. I hope my wife is not listening to me. I'm all bloated because Pato won. I don't know if you saw IndyCar. Pato won the first hybrid race ever in IndyCar. That was awesome. And he had such a good race against Palou. Like, he was second for a very long time. And when the time came, he did the undercut. He got out, passed Palou, and then he defended like a beast. Let's go. And then the second thing is Formula One. What a race. Lewis Hamilton won. Like, Pato and Lewis won. Like, that to me is, does racing weekends get any better? No. That's that. Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton, Pato O'Ward with McLaren and IndyCar. We took it. We took the back this weekend, and it felt good. What a race. By the way, Verstappen not having the fastest car, and still, Lewis and Max showed everyone who the fucking bosses of the track are. Those two were in a league of their own. The fastest car was driven by McLaren. And you can tell Toto Wolff, the principal at Mercedes, Christian Horner, the principal at Red Bull, they operate at a different level. And you saw it this time around with the strategies. You saw the drivers too. I think they fucked Piastri over. Piastri would have easily won that Grand Prix if they wouldn't have absolutely hesitated on that double stack. And they lost the race for Piastri. And I feel like Lando also, he had a slower pit stop. They're just not ready. Like, the other thing that I really liked was seeing Max, how excited he was at the end of the race for racing like that, like for fighting. I know that he's still far ahead in the championship, in the Drivers' Championship, and that's why he's doing it, because he's like, there's no pressure. But right now, you can see that Max is getting the most out of these races, and I love that. That shows you what kind of driver Max Verstappen is. We're seeing a legend in the making. I mean, he's a legend already, but he's a legend in the making, I think. And I think Lewis Hamilton was just incredible. And that shows you, like, top form Lewis. George Russell, even when everything was fine, didn't have anything against Lewis. Nothing. The Ferraris, holy fuck. It's like Binotto came back out of nowhere and he's back at the pit lane with everyone and they're wearing the clown outfits. Like, what's going on with Ferrari? How do you go back to the Imola spec, which, by the way, respectable? And then how come Carlos did so great and then Charles couldn't do it? Like, you're breaking Charles, guys. At this point, legitimately, Ferrari should have kept Carlos and now brought Lewis Hamilton, and maybe Leclerc should have gone to Mercedes. I mean it. I think Charles is. I love, by the way, I am a massive Charles Leclerc fan. Every time I'm in the car and I scream, "I'm bored with Charles Leclerc." Okay, that's how big of a fan I am of Charles Leclerc. And then my wife goes, "No, you're not." And then I go, "Well, I'm like Max Verstappen. You're right." And she goes, "No, you're not." And I'm like, okay, this is why I have a wife, to keep me planted, make sure that my ego is underneath my asshole all the way in there and never comes out. But no. I love Charles. I think he's damaged. I think he's had enough with Ferrari. I think he's struggling like crazy mentally with all of the promises and all of the, because they give him a good car every now and then it fades. And he fades. And people are telling me now that Newey's not going to go to Ferrari. Get out of here. For a little bit, people talking out of Maranello were saying, we don't need Adrian Newey. Look at what we're doing with our car. Shut the fuck up. Take Adrian Newey. Say, thank you, sir. Whatever you want. We need you. And we're going to win a championship with Lewis Hamilton, because that's possible. That's possible. Aston Martin, good recovery. Good recovery from where they were. But still, like, come on, this is such a disappointment in an operation. I just, like, you can't take him seriously, and no one will as an organization until Lawrence Stroll gets rid of his son and stops treating this like a family hobby. And I know, oh, but dude, he's done so much for the brand. Not really. It's still a Racing Point car, just wrapped with a beautiful Aston Martin wrap. Then you had Racing Bulls. By the way, Daniel Ricciardo, he was great in the past. He was great. He legitimately was so good, and he's so funny, and he's so charming, and he brings all this money. But there's Liam Lawson. When McLaren was saying, dude, I'll give you $20 million to fuck off, everybody should have understood where Ricciardo's performance was at. Right? They literally were like, dude, I'd rather take a chance with a rookie and give you $20 million to just get the fuck away from us. Is that not making any sense in anyone's head? We need Liam Lawson on the grid. Then we saw that Ollie Behrman signed with Haas. Awesome. Ollie seems ready to take this step. And we saw Kimi Antonelli, F2, winning the feature race. Great. Awesome. But Kimi needs to go to Williams before he can talk about a real seat at Mercedes. And then also Haas, dude. Gunther Steiner is a fucking, like, come on. This shows everybody that he was a waste of time at Haas. It sucks because he's so charming and he's so funny, and I do want to meet him and hug him. But at the same time, it's like, dude, you were holding everyone back like crazy. They got a 6th place with Nico Hulkenberg this weekend. And I know that he's going to take all the credit for signing him. He's going to be like, I did this. Well, sir, Nico didn't have a seat, so I don't know how much the credit you deserve for this. The Alpines were a disaster, but Alpine is in a disaster phase right now. Yeah, it was just a great weekend. Great weekend. Max is the first driver since Schumi that's talented enough to win the championship in a car that isn't really the fastest, in my opinion. He should switch teams to build it up just for the heck of it. And I think he will, and it's not so much because of that. No driver wants to prove that they don't have the fastest car and that they can win, because that's challenging, right? Well, I agree with your statement, because I do think Max at his best, in my view, is better than Lewis at his best. I think Lewis is also one of those drivers. But Max can definitely make so much more than anybody else. It's just insane how fast and how good he is. Friends that I know that know him tell me, dude, what's impressive about Max, and this is when when race car drivers have respect for another race car driver that's competing against them. And they say, dude, it doesn't matter if Max goes to party, if he doesn't do his homework, basically, if he doesn't practice in the simulator, if he just shows up one day, you put him in a Formula One car and you tell him, Max, this is qualifying, you need to get P1 right now, he'll do it in one lap. And that's the type of respect that these guys have for Max. And that's the type of respect that I have for Max. Like, I legitimately think we're seeing something that we're very fortunate to be able to enjoy right now. It's unbelievable what he's doing. Thoughts on Theo Pourchaire? So Pourchaire went from Formula 2. He went into IndyCar. He went into Era McLaren. He had 3 races, and then they kicked him out, and they signed Lundgaard, right? So Lundgaard's going to – or no. They brought the new kid. What's his face? And he's friends with a friend of mine, Nolan. And Nolan is really good. Nolan is really good. Like, I was blown away by how good he was. And then the other thing is Rossi, after having a pretty good, I think he's having a pretty good year. The thing is, these people at McLaren have to fight against Pato O'Ward. And I know he's my boy, and I know I have all of his shit here, and we're friends and whatnot. But that's a tough fucking thing to do. Pato has cleaned and mopped the floor with everyone. No one even remembers Andrew. Anyone remembers Andrew? His first teammate? No. And then Frodo, who I love, Rosenquist, couldn't do it. Then Rossi can't do it. Pourchaire came in, out. I just think Theo needs more. Theo needs a proper team, and he needs a year, because IndyCar is very different from Formula 2, Formula 1. They're all very different. The tires are really, really different. The cars are very different. I know a lot of people like to go to Super Formula. I went to Super Formula because Pato was racing in Super Formula for Red Bull. But I don't know how much you want to go to Super Formula. There's not a lot of attention outside of that side of the world paying attention. By the way, if you're watching and you don't know what Super Formula is like in Japan, right? And they have these, like, it's like IndyCar in Japan with these super, really cool cars. And their racing is incredible. I think Liam Lawson won Super Formula. I'm not entirely sure, but I think Liam Lawson came out of Super Formula. Not entirely sure, okay? But there's a lot of good drivers that come from there. And I just don't think there's not a lot of notoriety there, and I don't think there's a lot of money. I think there's a lot of money now in IndyCar. That's why it's a bait, and now they're bringing, like, Logan Sargent, for example. There's a big rumor that Sargent's going to sign in IndyCar this year during the summer. He's going to announce that he's not going to do another year with Williams, and the reason will be that IndyCar, someone's offering him a lot of money. And in a lot of people's minds, they think, oh, this is where people that can't make it to Formula One go, and they make it. No, they don't. Ask Romain Grosjean, how's that going? He can't. He can't. I know Ericsson won, for example, the Indy 500, but other than that, he hasn't been that solid. Like, you have an epic driver that came out of Europe, that's Alex Palou right now, the leader of the championship in IndyCar. That dude, I feel like, can drive anywhere. There's very few guys that can drive anywhere. Palou's one of them, for example. And I think Pourchaire just needs to find a solid base and build up from there. It's too much movement. And I feel for these guys because I lived it. And I live it with other drivers that I work with, help with, or I do promotions with. And I see how hard it is to build that momentum when everything keeps changing around you. Either way, this is an hour of our time. This is a good question. David, what did you enjoy more, the 765 Spider or the Pista Spider? The 765. By a lot. It is a rocket, dude. A rocket. Rocket. I love it to death. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed my Pista like crazy, but he was more of a fuck yeah. And he drove amazing. But the LT just feels like it's completely out of my reality. And I'm telling you, it's impossible to floor it. I still have yet to find a place where I can floor the car and leave it like for a few seconds. It's just so fast. What do you think of Andretti being kept out of F1? That's a hard subject. So a lot of people might not know this. Mario Andretti and the Andretti operation that has racing teams all over the world in so many different categories, right? So many categories, and they're really good. They're very solid. They know what they're doing. They're a family of race car drivers. They've done it all, these guys, and they're trying to make a bid to enter as an 11th team in Formula One, and they're not letting them. But I'd say it's kind of hard for me to agree with Andretti about bringing an extra team when you're diluting everyone's money. Like, what did Audi do to get into Formula One? They bought Sauber. I know they're still selling it to you like it's Keek and Sauber, and this is not them. That shit that you're seeing that's terrible, that's Audi. That's straight up Audi. They already got the keys to the house. They hired everyone. They cleaned the house. They're setting up for the new furniture and whatnot. But that's Audi. Okay. So they went in and spent a ton of money doing that. And that, I think that's what they need to do. I just find it so hard to understand why anyone would open the door to dilute the other people from profit without bringing any additional revenues. And the thing is, Andretti's not going to bring any additional revenues. You might make the argument, yeah, but they would sell more than Haas, no doubt. But then they should buy Haas. You know what I mean? As a business owner, if I was Toto Wolff, if I was Christian Horner, if I was Zach Brown, all of those guys, I wouldn't want to just have, hey, you want to join Formula One? Come here. We make $1 billion a year. Let me give you 200 of those. And then I'm going to make $50 million less or $20 million less. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I think they need to buy a team, and that's that. And like, even Lawrence Stroll bought a fucking team. The thing is, now they're getting really expensive. And to me, it's surprising that Ryan Reynolds and his group invested in Alpine, but didn't buy the whole operation. That's just weird to me, because Alpine wasn't like a something that was like looking like a diamond in the rough. So if you needed to really polish that shit, you need big changes. So you need to own it. I don't understand really what they did. Have you ever thought about being VinWiki? I think you have some pretty cool stories. I know that's a YouTube channel, but I have no idea what you're talking about. What do you mean? What kind of stories? It is not extremely hard to drive. I think it's more of a, you need to be on edge at all times. You can never fully trust the car because it'll try to fucking kill you. I'll give you an example. I'm making a right turn to basically go into a street, and into the street that I'm going on the right, it has 4 big lanes. So I'm going right, then I got to go straight, accelerate, and merge with traffic, right? There was a guy in a Range Rover. I don't know why the guy in the Range Rover wanted to race me. So I was like, let's have some fun with him. I was just behind him. So he was behind me. He passed me before making the right turn. So he's going into the right turn. So I broke last second, downshifted, turned the car forward. I wait for the dude to go because when I punch it, my car's going to go fast. And I'm slightly still turning the wheel when I decided to floor it. I almost fucking ended up on the wall. Almost by nothing. And still have traction control and all that shit. It's so much power. It's so much power. And if your wheels aren't up to temperature too, the only car I've ever spun in a track is in a McLaren, in an LT. It's the only car I've ever spun in a track with or in. Hey, Alejandro, hope you're well. I want to rent a supercar in Orlando. Is there any insurance that covers any potential problems? What do you recommend? Dima, have you tried getting they normally, whenever you rent a supercar, they have to give you a policy to insure it. And if they don't give you a policy to insure it, do not take the car, because I'm guessing you're not from the United States and you don't live there. So what I'd recommend is just go to the place, make sure they have coverage, get the coverage. It's going to be extra, but dude, who gives a fuck? It's part of the cost, and let's go. That's what I think. It's a car channel based out of Atlanta. And it's a bunch of car guys sharing cool stories they have. Ed Bolian is the owner. Ed Bolian. That also sounds really familiar. That's cool. I just don't have anyone to share stories with. The Project One, Valkyrie, and Jescore sick cars, but seem to have issues still. Time will tell with the new Utopia. Just makes this Chiron like a smart buy in terms of reliability. I just don't. So the way I see it is, if you're buying a Pagani, if you're buying a Koenigsegg, you're buying something that you know you're not going to have access to all the time. And if you're going to need it for something special, you might want to have a backup. That's the way I look at it. So once you understand that and have enough money to rationalize that and put it into practice, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Have you found any good driver's roads here in Orange County? Yeah, I have. I don't know the name of the road. I dropped a pin. Parker took me there. Wow. Beautiful. And I also have another road that's like 2 hours away from here. That's insane, by San Diego. Have you ever repainted an entire car? I wonder how much it cost. So I repainted my entire car at GT. That was about $20,000 back then. I can't imagine what it's going to be like now. If $20,000 was pre-pandemic, I'm guessing with inflation, 3%, it's probably going to cost you like anywhere between $7 and $8 million to repaint the Golf. Are you going to talk more about real estate? Are you in that field? I am not in that field, but I'm still very good at it. And I got rid of all of my, because I used to be in commercial real estate. So mainly offices, retail store and all that shit. And I saw the decline. So I got rid of all my shit by 2020 was the last property that I had. And I swapped everything to my new businesses, right? So it's been great because I don't have to deal with losses of 80% like everybody else. I don't have to deal with buildings that are empty. I don't have to deal with anything like that. But I also know that market's going to be bad. I know you hate older cars, but you ever get a chance to check out Senna's rare 150 Range Rover Ultimate? I haven't seen it, but I don't hate older cars. I just don't want to own them. You know what I mean? When someone loans me an older car and he's like, have fun, and if anything happens, call me. Fucking let's go. I just don't want to be the guy that's driving it, taking my wife to dinner, and he's like, oh, the carburetor broke in this thing. What are we going to do? Do I think commercial real estate will make a comeback? It will at some point, very later in the distant future, but as something else. And we don't know what that is because office space will never be the same. Never, 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 never. As companies, as we go into the future, less and less companies will exist. And the reason why is because bigger companies, hang on. I'm going to show you right now because I found it. I found this. Hang on a second. You're going to die. Give me 1 second. Here it is. Hang on. Share this tab instead. Am I sharing? No. All right. This is Demolition Man. Sandra Bullock, Sylvester Stallone. This is a movie from the 80s or 90s. Okay. This is how long this movie's been around. And I want you guys to pay attention to this and then we'll comment because it has to do with this. This is a scene. Sylvester Stallone is a cop from the past and they froze him and brought him back to life now in the future because a criminal from the past, Wesley Snipes, who we all know did not pay his taxes, was frozen and now has been unfrozen and it's a threat to society and no one knows how to deal with it. So Sandra Bullock is from the future, the present, and she's telling Sly how everything works. That's all the context you need to do. You need to know. And also, Sylvester Stallone just saved a lot of people from something, and that's why this conversation is about to happen. Let me know if you can hear.
To invite you to join me to dinner tonight. The both of you. Please, I insist. I would like you to accompany me to Taco Bell.
To Taco Bell.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
So he doesn't know why he's going to Taco Bell with the richest people on earth, but...
Taco Bell?
Yes.
So, what's with this cocktail guy anyway? He says I saved his life, which I'm not even sure I did, and my reward is dinner and dancing at Taco Bell. I mean, hey, I
Listen to
like
this.
Mexican food, but come on.
Your tone is quasi-facetious, but you do not realize that Taco Bell was the only restaurant to survive the franchise wars.
So?
So, now all restaurants are Taco Bell.
No way.
Oh, yes, way. All restaurants are now fucking Taco Bell in the future, guys. That's right. That's right. And here's the thing. It's going in that direction. Amazon, do you guys remember what Amazon used to do when it started? They used to sell books. Now, what does Amazon do? You remember what Google was when it started? It used to be a search engine. And now what do they do and own? You remember Facebook? That was a cool little website. Now, what do they own and do and have? You see what I mean? So I'll give you a simple example. If you're an Amazon guy, if you sell shit on Amazon, let's say that you make diapers and you're killing it, you're making $10 million a year. Amazon will look at you and say, wow, this account is making $10 million a year selling these diapers made out of wood, let's just say. So what is Amazon going to do? Support you, help you build up your wooden diaper business and make sure that they make more money through your hands? No, they go and launch their own diapers made out of wood as an Amazon original product that this legitimately exists, and this is exactly what they do. And then they email, because they have all of the client list that's ever purchased from you. They're going to email them all and say, by the way, you like wooden diapers? Well, these wooden diapers are cheaper and they're made by Amazon and you can get them right now. And they're going to lower the price and they're going to run you out of business until you're dead so they can keep that business. So there's going to be a lot less businesses, a lot less need for people in those offices. So real estate will not be the same ever, ever. So we need to change how we use that commercial real estate. And that's going to be really expensive. I am an electrician. Do you think it's a good idea to build my company and install Tesla chargers? Yes, sir. Anything that already has a huge clientele and you can just do a service for? Absolutely. Either way, guys, hour and 12 minutes. Thank you so much for being here with me. I appreciate you. We just talked about cars, yo. And see you soon. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not just going to disappear for another 5 years. Or am I? Yeah, probably.